A very good afternoon to you. Indeed, this is KBC Channel 1 Lunchtime News. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Betty Kiptum. We welcome you to the program. Now, we start off in the courts where the charge against Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko is going on. The plea taking in that 10 million shilling graft case is going on right now. Let's listen into that.
It's now 1. I want to adjourn the proceedings to 2 so that we take off at 2. We start at 2. Yes? Yeah? Why not 2? You know, if there is a, you guys, I think we were not communicating. If there is a protected witness, the court must finish with that protected witness. This court has permission to sit as long as it can, depending on the circumstances. So I'm saying this so that if you agree we come back at 2:30, I will come back at 2:30. You know, a minute counts. Yeah. So, Mr. Ndieki, I think democracy now says you come at 2. Yes. Yeah? Yes.
And we are applying this court that those witnesses we had in Canada. Because now the court is open, we want the defense counsel to be present, and the prosecution, and the previous prosecution officers. Those are the only ones who we expect us to come back here. Because we also say that they will not set up the court.
Well, that is the case against the Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko, as well as his co-accused ROG Security Limited and Anthony Otieno Ambok. Today, those are just proceedings from the Milimani Law Courts there. And our reporter, Sarafina Robi, will be bringing us the details. As you've heard, that case is set to resume at 2:30 in the p.m. We move on to other news. Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi is currently before a Nakuru court to face hate speech charges. Sudi surrendered to the police on Sunday after being on the run for 2 days in Eldoret and was then transferred to Nakuru. The legislator is said to have uttered words which bordered on demeaning the first family. The remarks by the legislator have ignited a number of protests, with mainly women calling for his arrest. He was arrested only days after his Emurua Dikir counterpart, Johanna Ngeno, was charged with hate speech by the same Nakuru court and set free on a 1 million shillings cash bail.
Mine is to urge people to keep calm and allow this process to continue to its logical end, and justice will be served as we believe.
On politics, a section of leaders who support the Building Bridges initiative in the Rift Valley region is accusing their opponents of engaging in self-interest campaigns. The leaders claim their opponents are looking at what they can gain instead of focusing on the benefits of the initiative to the community and the development of the region. Speaking in Turkana during a peace meeting between warring communities, they said they will allow a few self-seekers sideline the already marginalized communities.
The leaders were in Turkana for a public peace meeting where politics of the Building Bridges initiative being the center of focus. A section of local leaders accusing those opposed to BBI of putting their self-political interest before those of the larger community.
Sisi wengine, including Mheshimiwa Munyesi, including Mheshimiwa Imana, Mheshimiwa Ikolo, and the rest, we are fully in support of BBI. Now, kwa constituency yangu ile mimi na represent ya Loima, Mtu hawezi leta uongo yake kuja kusambazia watu wa Loima. Ati president sijui ameshindwa nini, Raila sijui ameshindwa na kazi, ati tuliuliza yeye amekataa kutupatia. Hiyo ni siasa ile imepitwa na wakati.
Wewe unataka maendeleo Turkana na unapiga handshake. Unapiga serikali ya Mheshimiwa Rais. And then we want to write letters to sema ati serikali itupatie NPR. Ati serikali tufanyie hii. And you are beating a president. You are fighting a president. You are fighting a government. Itafanyika namna gani? Sisi wafugaji lazima tuwe ndani ya serikali.
West Pokot Senator Samuel Pogisho said the solution to the revenue sharing stalemate lied on BBI, which will see the pastoralist communities reap big.
I want all leaders to support BBI because therein BBI, and I tell you, Bwana Governor and those in county government, therein lies the solution even to this formula ya ugavi ya pesa, right there in BBI. Because what BBI proposes a very high percentage that comes to the counties.
Ile handshake tuliona kati ya Mheshimiwa Rais na Mheshimiwa Waziri Mkuu ndio handshake tumeona kule Moroto. We want to build bridges of brotherhood and friendship ili tuweze kuunganisha sio kutenganisha jamii zetu.
On his part, Turkana Governor Josephat Nanok defended his decision to distance himself from the initiative, saying gone are days where people were coerced to blindly subscribe to ideas whose details are foggy.
Tunongoja ripoti ya mwisho tuone. Tuangalie kama yale tulitaka tukiwa Waturkana yako pale ama hayako. Hii si kutukana mtu. Hii si kukataa maneno ya mtu. Hii ni sisi tukiwa Waturkana tujue haki yetu ni nini ndani ya hii BBI na kubadilisha katiba.
Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
Now to the headache of reopening schools. The Ministry of Education is still grappling with the question of how to implement social distancing in learning institutions, even as it works round the clock to establish COVID-19 prevention protocols before reopening schools. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says the way forward is expected later this month after consultative meetings with the Health and Interior Ministries. Professor Magoha, who chaired an education stakeholder meeting at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development in Nairobi, said the status quo remains and the tentative date for reopening of schools is January 2021.
To note that the average positivity rate has been just below 5%. And this is a good thing for us because it suggests then that we can begin to consider how much restrictions are lifted in different sectors.
And we, as stakeholders, have come to a consensus that indeed it is time to relook because the doctor has told you the curve is flattening. And in order for us to prepare a presentation to present to the bigger stakeholders meeting, which will take place sometime next week, either before or on the 25th, we have decided to reactivate the smaller stakeholders group between now and Saturday to work on the finer details of proposals that shall be interrogated by this larger stakeholders group. And even at that time, if I succeed in getting backroom approval, then I will tell you what we have decided. If I do not, then those decisions that have been made at that point will be taken and then give them to the principal, who will communicate the decision to you.
Women in Samburu County took to the streets of Maralal town this morning to protest against recent remarks by some allies of Deputy President William Ruto about Kenya's founding First Lady Ngina Kenyatta. Led by Samburu women representative, the women condemned the remarks and asked DP Ruto to tame his allies against unwarranted remarks.
Business came to a standstill in Maralal town this morning after Samburu women representative Maison Leshomo led a section of women from the county in a protest against recent remarks made by some leaders earlier to Deputy President William Ruto. The raged women said abuse to the president's family is abuse to all Kenyans and called on DP Ruto to come out clearly and condemn the utterances made by Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi and his Emurua Dikir counterpart Joanna Ngeno about Ngina Kenyatta.
Nataka kuambia tu matusi akupatii siasa, akupatii kura, matusi akupatii president, akupatii ukitukana na kura yote inaenda.
Na tunasema revisit. We are going to revisit this. Tunaeka kwa archives. Kuna watu watakuja hapa kutuomba kura. Na sisi kama kina mama tunapiga kura kama block.
Tumekataa mambo ya familia ya watu kutukanwa. Hakuna mmoja wetu Kenya hii angependa mama yake atukwanwe. Kwa hivyo viongozi waonyeshane mfano mzuri kwa wale wananchi wanawaongoza.
Leshomo lauded the move by the KANU party to expel Ngeno from the party, saying he gave the party a bad image.
Shukuru rais chairman wetu wa KANU Gideon Moi kutoa ujumbe haraka iwezekanavyo kumtoa Ngeno kwa chama yetu aondoke.
The women urged the political class to desist from using an abusive language in their remarks, adding that this will only work against their political ambitions.
We now take a well-deserved break here on KBC Channel 1 Lunchtime News. We will be back with more. Stay with us.
Hello? Dude, United on fire. United? Rashford is unstoppable. Tell me you have DSTV, Eddie. Do you know that I get more than 20 live matches on any given week from the best leagues in the world? La Liga, Serie A, the Champions League, the Premier League. Oh, what about that? Do you have Premier League?
No, we don't have that.
Eddie, if you're going to spend your money, spend it on the best football in the world.
Dial *423# to buy a DSTV HD decoder for only 1,999 shillings.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Mom, just tell me. When was I there? What was I doing? I need to know. Now!
You forget. I told you I'm not doing press.
This is beer. It's different.
I don't see it.
Just go with the flow.
What if I don't?
Where in the world have you been? You had me worried. You can't just disappear without letting me know where you're going.
I can't live like this, Mom.
Who are you?
Someone who's got a long way to go.
Welcome back. Now, the county government of Wajir is warning that mosques, markets and police stations currently witnessing high human traffic are turning to COVID-19 hotspots. Wajir County Health Executive Ismail Isaac says unless people visiting such areas adhere to preventive measures put in place by the Ministry of Health in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, gains already made will be reversed. Isaac was speaking after receiving a consignment of over 1,000 face masks from the United States Embassy through the U.S. Marafiki initiative.
Wajir County has recorded 36 positive cases with 1 fatality and 35 recoveries from coronavirus. In efforts to support the county contain the spread of the pandemic, the United States Embassy through the U.S. Marafiki initiative has donated a consignment of over 1,000 face masks to the county government.
Last time I looked at, there were about 4,000 cases of asthma, hepatitis, and we were following it up. We are even going to attach community health extension workers to those vulnerable people, so that they keep following them up, so that they don't expose themselves, because those are the people who are likely to die from this disease more than anyone else.
Speaking while receiving the consignment, the county's health executive Ismail Isak said the face masks will be distributed to the high-risk areas, which include mosques and markets.
We want to sincerely thank the American Embassy or the UN's Embassy for making these donations to Wajir County and the ones that have gone to the county commissioner. These reusable face masks will be distributed to very populous areas. We will start with the fresh produce market, Amasoko Mujinga.
And already we have earmarked, giving them almost about 1,800 masks. Will go to the police station because they are handling a lot of clients on a daily basis and they are susceptible to the infection of the COVID-19.
USA's embassy representative Salam Alim said the US support is part of supplementing the critical role played by county government in fighting the pandemic.
Handing over a consignment of a total of 85 cartons, boxes of US Marafiki masks. The allocation of the 85 is divided into 2 bits. 65 cartons going to the office of the governor.
On his part, Administration Officer 1 in the office of Wajir County Commissioner Charles Kitumwa said the donation will go a long way to maintain a healthy and effective force during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank the US Embassy together with the US Kenya Marafiki program, who are the donors of the masks, and we really appreciate for their kind gesture.
Now, the county government of West Pokot has partnered with well-wishers to rescue and rehabilitate street children in the region. This follows the rising cases of street children, especially in Makutano Township in Kapenguria. The initiative, which also involves security officers, is aimed at eventually reintegrating the children back in the society.
The upsurge of street children in Kapenguria Town, West Pokot County, has caught the attention of authorities, with the county government putting mechanism in place to deal with the worrying trend. West Pokot County Children Officer Philip Oboba says they are assessing the plight of the children living on the streets in the county to see how best to help them.
Sasa tunawakakua kulingana na miaka, kulingana na shida zao, wamesoma mpaka kiangani, ndio tunapowasaidia tutawasaidia kila mtoto kulingana na shida zake, na wale ambao tunaweza kupata makao tutawaweka kwa muda ili tuweze kurudisha nyumbani, tukiwaweka katika mikakati mizuri ili wasirudi tena mtaani.
The county government has partnered with well-wishers including the World Vision Organization and Kenya Police to get the children off the streets.
Tulikuwa tunaonelea ni vyema kama tutaangalia kwa undani ni nini ambacho hasa iliwaleta kwenye mitaa, na kama tunaweza kufuatilia tupate kujua nyumbani kwao ni wapi, ili tuweze kufanya reintegration ya wao pamoja na familia zao.
Ndio wakubalike na community pia. Tuna hiyo programs ambayo wanakuwa wanafundishwa, wanaongeleshwa, hata kama ni half day ya kufunzwa, alafu mwishowe sasa kuna wale tayari kwa hao watoto wako tayari kwenda nyumbani. So tuone familia iko namna gani. Alafu hiyo ni process ambayo Children Department itatuguide through, na kuna organization kama Child Welfare Society pia wako, hao watatulead through hiyo process ya kurudisha kwa community.
The initiative seeks to rescue, rehabilitate and reintegrate the children back in society.
Tunataka igulu ishe. Tunataka shule yenye ifunguliwe kama NYS. Mabasi yao iko hapo na dereva wao wakienda kama mahali kama team wanakuja wote.
Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
To Mombasa now, over 1,000 residents from Jomvu constituency in Mombasa County have benefited from free National Hospital Insurance Fund cover, courtesy of the area Member of Parliament, Betty Kiptum. According to the legislator, the initiative targets families in the constituency that cannot afford to subscribe to the NHIF cover.
At least 1,000 families from Jomvu constituency, Mombasa County, have a reason to smile after the area Member of Parliament Betty Kiptum initiated a program that will see them benefit from the National Hospital Insurance Fund. According to Kiptum, at least 8,500 families from the constituency will access free healthcare in the first phase of the program at a cost of 10 million shillings.
Leo hii nataka kusema wale ambao watanufaika katika huduma hii ni watu 1,700, na katika kila mtu mmoja ambaye atapata kadi, ikiwa ni mzee, ataweza kutibiwa na mke wake na watoto wake. Kwa hivyo watoto wake ambao wako chini ya miaka 18, tukiassume ya kwa kuwa pengine mtu yuko na watoto 3, itabidi asaidike yeye na mke wake na watoto wake 3. Kwa hivyo katika familia moja ukizuia kadi ile, inamaanisha watu 5 ambao wanaweza kupata huduma.
The beneficiaries loaded the gesture, terming it as timely.
Natoa shukrani zangu sana kwa kutukumbuka kwa jambo kama hili. Maana sasa najua itakavyokuwa vyovyote nimepata usaidizi kutoka kwake na kutoka kwa serikali.
Ni wakati mwingi sana tumetaka tukaweza kupata hizi NHIF health cards. You can't go to a doctor because consultation tayari ni 3,000. So wewe watumia madawa, pia yale madawa pia yanaweza kudhuru kwa sababu you need to go for check up.
Meanwhile, Betty called on state investigative agencies to thoroughly investigate and prosecute those found culpable of embezzling COVID-19 funds.
Education stakeholders in Trans Nzoia County are calling for practical interventions to curb teenage pregnancies in the area. The stakeholders regretted that many girls have found themselves in the family way after being violated by people meant to protect them.
Speaking at the Precious Kids Center that houses abandoned children in Trans Nzoia County, education stakeholders from the region regretted the increasing cases of teenage pregnancies, noting the long holiday occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic had exposed the minors to defilers.
Since schools have closed since COVID-19, we've heard on the news that there are a lot of teen pregnancies, and so we're expecting soon that there'll be a lot more kids that need help. So even since things have closed now, we've taken a lot more kids just because the parents are having trouble providing.
The stakeholders are calling for the government's intervention in developing policies that promote gender equality through ending teenage pregnancy.
I am very positive that we have a very capable Ministry of Education, and they will put together a policy that will see us moving forward and circumventing this problem of teenage pregnancy.
Alex Chesosi, an educationist, on his part, called upon parents not to abdicate their responsibilities of nurturing children.
The family unit should take care of their children and their interactions during this prolonged COVID period. It is largely a policy issue from the different stakeholders involved, of course the government being the central stakeholder.
The Trans Nzoia County government has reported about 10,000 cases of teenage pregnancies since schools were closed in March this year. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
Construction of a seawall to protect the historic Vasco da Gama's pillar in Malindi Town, Kilifi County, is on course despite challenges posed by tidal waves. The historic bell-shaped pillar, constructed by the famous Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama in 1498, was on the verge of collapsing following years of coastal erosion occasioned by strong tidal waves.
Vasco da Gama pillar in Malindi, Kilifi County, Kenya. If you studied history and government in school, then you may remember that the teacher explaining details about the site. Every year, the site attracts thousands of domestic and foreign tourists. The historic bell-shaped pillar was constructed by the famous Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama in 1498. However, coastal erosion occasioned by strong tidal waves has over the years damaged the pillar. The government, through the means of sports, heritage and culture, has moved with speed to protect it.
As a ministry, we thought it's very important for us to preserve this icon for Malindi, because if you can imagine, if this pillar fell into the ocean, then that image you have of a city of Malindi will be gone.
The cost of building a wall and repair works will cost 59 million shillings. Principal Secretary, Sports, Heritage and Culture, Josepta Mukobe, expressed satisfaction with progress of the ongoing renovation.
They've put a very strong base. They've also put a wall, a very strong wall. So that means the pillar is protected, maybe for the next 100 years.
The first lift will also include the construction of facilities such as toilets and a better walkway to facilitate movement of persons living with physical disability.
Now, the Maasai community neighboring Nairobi National Park held peaceful protests to oppose fencing of land they say belongs to the community by the Kenya Wildlife Service through the Embakasi Olera Trust umbrella. The community claims they were not consulted and accused KWS of encroaching on the land with the aim of locking them out of their ancestral land.
Plans by the government to fence Nairobi National Park has sparked a fresh row between local communities and the Kenya Wildlife Service. The bone of contention is the infamous sheep and goat piece of land measuring 2,912 acres bordering Nairobi National Park to the south. James Turere, Embakasi Olera Trust chairman, says KWS is imposing the fencing project without proper consultations, noting that the land is used as grazing ground by hundreds of herders in this region.
Hii shamba ni yetu na watoto wetu. Kwa hivyo mambo ya mabroka wanaenda pale juu, wanaenda kuongea mambo ya shamba hili ati amepeana au community walikubali. Hakuna siku tulikaa na KWS tukasema hii shamba ichukuliwe au ifenziwe. Hiyo kitu hakuna.
Sasa tunaishi na wasiwasi yote hata tukai tukijua kwamba wanakuja kutunyang'anya shamba na tuwezi kubali wachukue shamba yetu. Si tukuwa mama ndio tunalelea watoto wetu huku na hatuna shamba ingine tuko naye, ni hii tu shamba tuko naye na hakuna pali ya kwenda.
The community is appealing to the president to intervene, claiming land grabbers acting in the shadows of government agencies have been eyeing the piece of land.
Jamii wa Maasai, tunakuomba uingilie kati ya hizi mambo la sheep and goat, kwa sababu tuliona brokers wengi akikimbia tu kusema mimi niko na title, mimi nilipewa, na tunataka kukuzii kabisa kama president yetu.
They have vowed to thwart any possible encroachment into the disputed land.
Now to an update on the global coronavirus pandemic. The World Health Organization has reported a record-breaking number of coronavirus cases worldwide, with at least 307,930 cases confirmed in just one day. More than 5,500 new deaths were also recorded, bringing the global total to 917,417. More than 28.9 million people around the world have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, and more than 922,000 have died, according to the Johns Hopkins University. About 19.5 million people have recovered.
According to the World Health Organization, the number of daily coronavirus infections worldwide reached a new record on Sunday with 307,930 new cases. More than 5,500 new deaths were also recorded, bringing the global total to 917,417.
The numbers are increasing because the epidemic is developing in a number of populous countries at the same time and across the whole world. So from that perspective, a large number of countries are contributing to that overall increase.
The news comes as a WHO official has warned that Europe is likely to see a rise in the number of daily deaths in October and November. The number of cases has been rising in a number of European countries in recent weeks, with Spain and France experiencing the largest spikes. Israel has become the first country to announce it will reimpose a second nationwide lockdown later this week. Restrictions banning social gatherings of more than 6 people have come into effect in England and Scotland. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says restrictions will be lifted across the country on September 21st, except for Auckland. In Brussels, thousands of healthcare workers took part in a protest urging the government to invest in the healthcare system. And as the November presidential election approaches, U.S. President Donald Trump has held his first indoor campaign rally in 3 months. But the event in Nevada angered local officials who said the size of the crowd violated state rules banning gatherings of more than 50 people. Meanwhile, much of China has returned to a more normal pace of life after authorities began easing coronavirus lockdowns in late spring. But as many cities have found out, the relaxed measures can be short-lived. In June, Beijing experienced a sudden surge of cases linked to a wholesale market, leading authorities to immediately quarantine close contacts, lock down nearby areas, and mass test residents. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
That update by Purity Museo brings us to our second break here on Lunchtime News. We'll be back with more, including business as well as sports. Stay with us.
KBC, in collaboration with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, is broadcasting enhanced out-of-class learning on radio, television and online. Catch the lessons every weekday on KBC Channel 1 from 2 to 4 p.m, on KBC English Service and 15 FM from 9:15 a.m. to 5 p.m, and Radio Taifa from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. KBC English Service, Radio Taifa and 15 FM are also available countrywide on the free-to-air Signet digital TV platform, or log on to www.kbc.co.ke for live streaming, or download the KBC Online app on Google Play Store. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, ensuring learning no matter what.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
I have worked hard for this opportunity. I had to make many sacrifices. You need to prove Acharya Chanakya completely wrong.
Let me go, Sushil!
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
No, something happened to him. What can I do? Where can I report him missing?
Well, you can report that right here, but you're going to have to wait 48 hours before we issue an order to go out looking for him.
That's him. Pull over. Pull over. Ramon! Ramon!
You see?
El paraíso conocimos.
In love with Ramon.
Good people of the
254 and beyond.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. The legendary show is on, baby.
Absolutely. Music concert.
Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up, pull it up.
And it's a feeling in my heart.
Top model. With it, crew, drop.
This vibes plus so much more. Join us
Every Monday at 10 p.m., baby.
Welcome back. Let's now do business. At least 65% of Kenyans have seen their incomes reduced significantly during the COVID-19 pandemic, with a majority of them expecting the situation to worsen. According to the latest Standard Chartered Bank survey, 42% of the youth in Kenya fear they might be declared redundant as the economy continues to take a beating from the negative impact of coronavirus.
The coronavirus pandemic continues to negatively affect the global economy, with developing economies such as Kenya the most affected. This has seen personal finances of Kenyans affected as income streams from many dry up. According to a global Standard Chartered Bank survey, 2/3 of Kenyans are already earning less and expect the pandemic to further affect their income. The report, which was carried out in 12 developed and developing economies, showed that Kenyans were among the most confident and willing to adapt by diversifying their income streams. 89% of Kenyans believe they have the skills to thrive in a more digital post-COVID-19 world. 93% would set up a second income stream, while 87% would retain or learn a new skill. With many graduating or leaving school in the midst of a global recession, younger generations are more willing to adapt to the current circumstances. Edith Chumba, Standard Chartered Head of Retail Banking Kenya and East Africa, says, quote, Kenya was also the most entrepreneurial nation, with 85% considering starting a new business to increase their earnings in the next 6 months. Kenya's millennials and Generation Z are also much more likely than their global peers to respond to the crisis by starting a new business. 87% of those aged 18 to 44 years would consider doing so in the next 6 months, compared to 52% globally, end of quote. The survey also found out that 99% of Kenyans would prefer to continue working from home for at least 2 days a week once the COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. Benson Diopa reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Now, Davis and Sharleaf Executive Chairman Alec Davis has been named in this year's Business Worldwide magazine and credited for building a transformative business throughout Africa. The 2020 Business Worldwide CEO Awards recognize Davis for overseeing the family-owned company revolutionize water supply in Kenya and African countries over the last 7 decades. Here are the details of these and other stories in our corporate briefs.
The 2020 Business Worldwide CEO Award sought to identify and honor the most respected C-level executive across the globe from a variety of different sectors. Alec Davis joined the company in 1976, took the helm from his father, Eddie Davis, in 1990, and embarked on an aggressive expansion strategy focused on the distribution business. Under his tenure, the company partnered with a number of high-profile agencies, including Italy's Pedrolo Pumps, and established a subsidiary in Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, and Rwanda. The executive chairperson said being a close family business has immensely contributed to the key wins that Davis and Shatcliffe has recovered over the years it has been in operation. Meanwhile, Housing Development Financial Shelter Africa has entered into a strategic partnership with the World Bank aimed at addressing the affordable housing crisis evident across the continent. Shelter Africa CEO Andrew Shimfonda says the two institutions were working towards a more long-term partnership with a mix of possible interventions, including support for member countries' equity injections. The World Bank has also extended a 22 million shilling grant to support Shelter Africa's capital market program. Finally, Pride in Hotel Managing Director Hassan Nourani is urging the government to scale down taxes and levies in the tourism industry in a bid to boost domestic tourism and recreate jobs for the youth. Nourani says the industry risks extreme revenue drops unless taxes and levies at the national and county level are marginalized.
There is the cost of power, there is the cost of taxes, and then the cost of interest. We want to ask the government, let us work together so we see how we can lower these rates and how we can work together to lower the prices.
He says levies introduced by counties, coupled with already existing statutory taxes, are pushing up the cost of tourism products.
To the international front now, Microsoft says its offer to buy the U.S. operations of popular video sharing app has been rejected, paving the way for Oracle to make a last-minute bid. The U.S. would get of the sale price of TikTok's U.S. unit if an American firm buys it. Here are the details of these and other stories in our international business roundup.
U.S. President Donald Trump gave a 15th September deadline for the Chinese-owned app to sell or shut down. The Trump administration claims TikTok and other Chinese apps are national security threats. Microsoft and Oracle led the race to buy TikTok from Chinese firm ByteDance. Earlier reports had said Oracle was seriously considering buying TikTok's businesses in the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, with investment firms including General Atlantic and Sequoia Capital. But Microsoft has announced that ByteDance had informed them they will not be selling TikTok's US operations to Microsoft. Microsoft added they were confident their proposal would have been good for TikTok's users while protecting national security interests. Elsewhere, a 300-year-old tortoise named Tommy continues to be one major attraction in Zimbabwe, wowing visitors with his amazing weather predicting skills. Tommy, the oldest resident in the lion park, was brought to the park from Mozambique in the 1960s, but came from the South American Galapagos Islands many years earlier. After decades of interacting with the public, Tommy, who weighs more than 500 kilograms, is used to being the center of attention. Freddie Sato, a guide at the lion park whose father used to work here as well and cared for Tommy for several years, has been friends with the tortoise since his childhood and knows well about the star animal.
Whenever temperatures are about to drop, a day or two before the cold begins, he won't leave his shed. He is our local weather forecaster because he is never wrong about the cold.
Finally, the global food value chain remained smooth amid the current COVID-19 pandemic, thanks to the joint efforts by various countries and international organizations. According to an estimation by the Food and Agriculture Organization, the global grain output is expected to reach 2.77 billion tons in 2020, a record high and an increase of 58 million tons from 2019. FAO says the main factors contributing to this increase include policy support, new cultivars, innovation in agricultural inputs and distribution channels, investment, and the hard work of millions of farmers. The latest assessment by FAO suggests that the COVID-19 outbreak could condemn 132 million more people worldwide to be food insufficient in 2020.
sports, Brazilian soccer star Neymar insisted he had been the victim of racism as he was one of the 5 players sent off in a mass brawl at the end of Marseille's 1-0 win over Ligue 1 champions Paris Saint-Germain last evening. The PSG player appeared to accuse Alvaro Gonzalez of calling him a monkey in a series of furious tweets after he was sent off in injury time for slapping the Marseille defender on the back of the head. Neymar was red-carded after a VAR review, while teammates Levin Kurzawa and Leandro Paredes were also sent off. Marseille striker Dario Benedito and defender Jordan Amavi were also expelled. Well, thank you very much for watching Channel 1 Lunchtime News. It's on that sporty note that we put a cap on it. My name is Betty Kiptum. Simon Karotha has been my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Do stay with Channel 1 and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000-706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
KBC, in collaboration with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, is broadcasting enhanced out-of-class learning on radio, television and online. Catch the lessons every weekday on KBC Channel 1 from 2 to 4 p.m. on KBC English Service and 15 FM from 9:15 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Radio Taifa from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. KBC English Service, Radio Taifa and 15 FM are also available countrywide on the free-to-air Signet digital TV platform, or log on to www.kbc.co.ke for live streaming, or download the KBC Online app on Google Play Store. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, ensuring learning no matter what.